All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I am John Genter. I am the Chief Information Security Officer with Lightspeed Systems. And joining me today is Brad White. He is our Principal Applications Security Architect here at Lightspeed Systems.
Hello.
All right, Brad. Well, you and I have worked together a very long time. I think it's been about 30 years now. And
Yep.
we have covered a lot of territory in those 30 years and seen the security space change a great deal. So I'm excited to chat a little bit about phishing today and how our customers can take some of the suggestions we might make and use them. But gosh, in that time, we've both been very focused on the education space. I know I was 22 years as a school board trustee and 5 or 6 years in school site council and everything. And your family is very much an education-based family.
Yeah, both my parents were lifelong educators back in California, and my sister is still an elementary school teacher today. And I myself have done acted as an outside consultant doing network infrastructure audits for the organization called FICMAT in California.
All right, yeah. And today we both run the security practice here at Lightspeed Systems. So appropriate timing. Today, COSIN released a report, and that report stated only 27% of districts identified phishing as a high risk. How does that sit with you?
I think it's a underestimation of how severe phishing risk actually is in any organization, let alone K-12.
I would agree with you there. And it's interesting that the COSIN report also referenced the CISA website, and I'm going to read this specific here so I don't get it wrong, but CISA says, malicious cyber actors are targeting K-12 education organizations across the country with potentially catastrophic impacts on students, their families, teachers, and administrators. That sounds a little bit more like what you were thinking earlier too.
Yeah, I think K-12 is a relatively soft target for several reasons, and so of course threat actors are targeting them.
Yeah. And what are you thinking? What are some of the reasons that schools are a good target for threat actors?
Well, I think schools are historically a little underfunded on the technology side. They have fewer resources maybe because of that, and maybe people in K-12 organizations have considered their users to just not be a target of a threat actor for any reason, let alone phishing. But they definitely are a target.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about just the last few weeks as we were preparing for back to school and all, and what we have seen coming at us as an organization.
hmm
And I know you get an opportunity to investigate, but in the last few weeks, we have probably seen 5 what look like compromised accounts at customers that have sent us emails attempting to phish Lightspeed employees. And I know you've dug into some of those. What are you seeing?
So I'm seeing, a spectrum of people at these other K-12 organizations. They could be, frontline IT staff. It could be management. It could be teachers, and they've been compromised. And then their accounts have been used to send phishing emails out to essentially everyone that those individuals have ever communicated with, or perhaps communicated with over the past 30 days or so. And the threat actors are using sophisticated adversary in the middle attacks or their phishing attacks, which end up stealing, both the user's username and password and their session token, regardless of whether they were using MFA or not. That's what we've seen.
Right. And that's just us, right? And that's
Mhm.
just in the last few weeks that we've seen those coming at us. And I know personally I've called and spoken with folks at schools. And in a couple of those cases, they said, yep, we're aware of that and we're actively working on it. So I think you're right. I think it's a real challenge for our customers. And so let's think about what we might suggest, how we might help our customers here, knowing that they're budget constraint, knowing that they're time constraint, knowing that staff constraints and all exist, and that they have different challenges than the commercial space might have. What are some suggestions that we could help them with that don't cost a lot of money that they could implement today and help them reduce this risk of staffing fish?
Sure. So the lowest cost thing is just increased awareness. Make sure your users, all of them, no matter what level of privilege they might have, if they have access to email or any other system, make sure that they are aware that they are a target of phishing attacks and that they should take extra caution anytime they receive an email that they're not expecting, that asks them to take actions that they're they're not expecting to have to take, or maybe they think, why should I have to do this thing that it says to do in this email? Um, there just needs to be a lot more awareness, and that can be done, for free by just communicating with your staff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can remember, and here it is 40, 50 years later, Ronald Reagan saying trust but verify, and that
Hmm.
phrase kind of
Hmm.
caught on and lasted for a long
Yeah,
time. And I think we could have a similar, like, don't reply, verify, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. For example, if you get an email from somebody that you've communicated with before, and so maybe the email itself is not unexpected. You get emails from that person, but they're asking you to do something that's unexpected, like please review this file, and then there's a link to click on. um, Rather than clicking on that link, contact that person, not by email, because we've seen cases where the threat
mhm.
actors have control of the sender's email inbox, and they will reply to you instead with a nebulous reply on, like, it's really important that you open this file and read it and then get back to me with what you think. They'll do things like that. So reply via a different method to contact that person and say, did you send me that file? Odds are they're going to reply with something like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep, we've seen that a few times, and you're right. That's a very low cost, and it's just awareness, and really, I believe in helping train and teach people to be secure in their personal life, because I think they then bring that into a school or a work life as well.
Yeah,
And these are things that we would want our children to know, we would want our staff to know, is that if it looks suspicious, verify it. And if it turns out to be legit, no one minds that you check to make sure. There's no such
hopefully
thing as
so.
being rude, right?
Yeah,
In checking. And if someone's offended by that, well, that's probably just too bad.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Now, going a bit further, if you can implement MFA, and
yeah.
you need to make sure you implement phishing resistant types of MFA. So the types of MFA that email you a code to enter, or send you a text message with a code to enter, or send your device a push notification, or even ask you to match digits. Like, they may send you a push notification to an authenticator app on your device that has some numbers, and then you have to enter those numbers in to do the MFA. All of
Hmm.
those methods can be stolen by adversary in the middle attacks. It's very frequent to see what we call session token theft. Happens this way in a phishing attack because those MFA methods are not phishing resistant. The only phishing resistant MFA methods that I'm aware of today are FIDO based tokens like YubiKeys or passkeys, like Windows Hello, something like that. Uh, Security cards like the DoD CAT card, which I'm sure no K-12 organization is going to implement that because it's very expensive.
Sure.
Anything else is can be phished and can be used to enable session token theft.
Yeah. And still, those having MFA in place is better than not.
It
But that's good
is.
advice to also look at those. How about Office 365? Probably many of our customers are either a Google Workspace or a
Mhm.
Microsoft 365. Those tools come with settings that can do some detection and quarantining and reporting. Any thoughts there?
So if you can ingest or review frequently the various logs produced by those platforms, that can help you detect that something has gone wrong. Maybe a suspicious forwarding rule has been added to a user's
Hmm.
email account, and these suspicious rules often look like um, any inbound mail that has this text in the subject line because they sent out their phishing email with a certain subject, and so the replies probably have it still in the subject. Then they may just say mark those as read and delete them, or mark those as read and move them to an unused folder like archived or something like that, a folder that the user normally doesn't check. And then that way the user doesn't realize that they sent
Hmm.
hundreds or thousands of phishing emails from their account because all the replies are kind of being hidden from them. So looking for suspicious inbox rules is a good idea. And then looking for users authenticating from locations that they don't normally authenticate from. Sometimes it's
Hmm.
obvious, like you're in Los Angeles, and then all of a sudden, yesterday, we noticed you authenticating from France. Okay, maybe that's probably easy to figure out. But oftentimes, these attackers are sneaky and they will observe a user's behavior once they gain access to their account. And they'll see, like, oh, this user usually logs in from Los Angeles. I'll get a hosted machine somewhere close by, like Van Nuys. And now you're going to see the authentications coming from Van Nuys. And you may just think, LA, Van Nuys, close enough. But one is the user and one is the attacker.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I think gone are the days of the old school hacker with the hoodie and a teenage kid that was in the room playing around and all.
Hmm.
Right? Hacking organizations today have become very, very sophisticated. And
Yeah.
I've heard them compared to, say, like the drug cartels that are
Hmm.
well organized and all.
Yeah. They're companies themselves. And you may have a tier of people who all they do is phish people. And then once they phish that person, they gather information like, here's all the email addresses this person communicates with. And I have this session token and it looks like it's going to last for 2 more weeks. And they send that up their chain. And then their chain, the next step goes, okay, let's write this phishing email and we're going to send it to all the recipients of these people. And we'll include some malware and we'll see, what happens. Because
Right.
maybe some people don't trigger the malware, but maybe more of them get their sessions stolen. And so then the process just repeats. Take the stolen sessions, access those people's accounts, look at who they talk to, and repeat. And you have an
Yeah.
exponential explosion of compromises that then take place.
Yeah, that's right. So, looking for those rules being added, preventing forwards might be a good way to do that. Making sure that the staff knows how to report suspicious emails
Mm-hmm.
and that you're
Yeah.
watching those kinds of things. Those are all settings that can be done within those tools, and they're no cost to set up. A little bit of time probably to monitor those, but well worth
Mm-hmm.
the investment to do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we always talk about least privileges, right? And I think of it as like blast radius, right? Or I talk about security like a submarine and being compartmentalized. And so if you have a breach in one part of the submarine, it doesn't sink the whole submarine because you can compartmentalize it. And really, I think when we think about security, our customers should also be looking at how do I minimize blast radius, if you will, with least privileges. What's your thoughts on?
Yeah, for sure. That's a very foundational practice that you should always try to implement. And examples might be in Office 365. Maybe not everyone needs access to SharePoint and Teams. Maybe they only need access to email and Word. And Google, maybe they don't need access to Pages and Sheets. Limit people's access. Don't just automatically give them access to everything. Give them access to what they need. And if what they need changes over time, you can always adjust.
Yeah, that's right. And it is easier at times to use a wild card for permissions, right? Sure, you
Hmm.
have all the
Sure.
permissions to access. That's an easy thing to set up, but boy, the risks of that are pretty significant. And it's really understanding what the staff needs access to, and then how to set those parameters up within those environments so that they have the access they need to do their job, but no more, so that you can contain
Yeah.
a breach
Yeah.
should it occur.
And for the frontline IT staff, they're just understanding the tools and the services that they use in depth is really essential.
Yeah. I know one of the things we've done here around staff training too is, we have compliance training and other things that we need to do. And generally those used to come in the form of a once a year training. And they felt more checkbox than actually advantageous. Um, last year we started the tip of the week. And so in our weekly newsletter, we send out the security question and an answer and some details and things on it. So we're kind of more drip feeding, if you will, information in. We have some newsletters that we send out weekly. We try to make them personalized so that folks can understand how this impacts them there. What's your thoughts on like little short training sessions versus more formal sit down long training sessions?
Yeah, I think the shorter, more regular communication is superior because it always keeps the awareness top of mind. And we talked earlier about awareness, and awareness is really the most important thing. People
Absolutely.
have to realize their target and be aware of what attacks can look like and what to do if they think they may have received that phishing email. And all
Hmm.
that can be reinforced every week with maybe an end of the week or a beginning of the week email about here's what's happening out there now. Here are
Hmm.
some links of other K-12 organizations got compromised and how it happened. And remember, if you think you got an email that you're not sure on, here's who to contact, and encourage people to contact right away.
Yep. Absolutely. I like sharing the stories, right? People that shared the stories when they got it right, when something doesn't go as you expected and somebody gets hooked. I like sharing those stories too because it's a lesson
Mm,
learned for the others,
yeah.
and certainly it's not meant to be punitive, but it's meant to be how do we all collectively learn to get better as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we here internally we're never punitive in regards to that sort of thing. It's always blameless and using it as a lesson to not let it happen again and improve.
All right. All right, so we have many friends that work in the industry. Some still as IT administrators in districts.
Mhm.
Any parting words? Anything that you want to share with our friends?
Number one, make sure your users are aware that they're targets of phishing. They certainly are targets of phishing, guaranteed, 100%. Uh, you know, Try to see if you can implement MFA across all of your non-student users, whether that and ideally passkey, FIDO token. Uh, Passkeys can be implemented in all the mainline operating systems. So if every individual has a Windows device or Mac OS device or an iOS device, they can use passkeys today. Just have to implement them.
Yeah, that's great. Great point. And easy with the tools that folks have in place today. So
Hmm.
that's great.
Yeah.
I think for me, I want to make sure folks, if you haven't read it, go out and see the COSIN report. It's designed around legislature that's happening in the United States right now, but it does give a good layout as well of some of these other how people are thinking in the summaries. And then also go to the CISA, go out there and take a look at the wonderful information they have available. They have some great suggestions and all there. Specifically, read this most recent blog and report as well. Well, we hope you've taken this in and enjoyed this time with us today. We certainly enjoyed chatting a little bit. Brad and I get to talk about this topic all day long, and we probably could talk about it all day long, but
Sure.
we know you all don't have all day long, so we'll let you get back at it and just say thank you very much. Appreciate you spending some time with us today.